How China is challenging Elon Musk's Starlink satellite service. China is actively developing competing satellite internet constellations to challenge SpaceX's Starlink. 3 key projects, Qianfan, Thousand Sails, Guowang, and Honghu 3, are each aiming for substantial satellite fleets, reflecting a significant surge in investment in space technology starting in early 2021. These initiatives directly seek to rival Starlink's global coverage, particularly in underserved areas. The ambitious drive to create these competing constellations is part of a broader Chinese strategy to establish itself as a leading space power. This competition is not solely driven by commercial interests, but also by the ambition to challenge the established dominance of the U.S. in space exploration and technology. These constellations aren't simply about providing internet access, they represent a critical step in building a comprehensive space infrastructure necessary for achieving a leading role in space technologies and geopolitical influence. The emergence of these Chinese initiatives has created a compelling space race with significant implications for global communications and technological advancement. China's drive to develop its own satellite internet constellation is deeply intertwined with geopolitical considerations. Starlink's success, however, is partly tied to its ability to offer uncensored internet access, a feature that some countries actively resist. This creates a potential market niche for a Chinese provider, particularly in regions where concerns about internet freedom are paramount. China's own significant unconnected population is another factor fueling the ambition. The country sees space as a critical frontier for projecting power, a view evident in its recent lunar missions and ambitious plans for lunar exploration by 2030 and 2035. Beyond the purely commercial aspect, China is leveraging space technology to advance its national interests. This effort isn't merely about gaining market share. It's about challenging U.S. dominance and establishing its own global influence, capitalizing on potential vulnerabilities in existing global internet access. This strategic approach sees satellite internet as a means to advance not only technology, but also political and strategic objectives, positioning China in a broader geopolitical context. China's ambitious satellite internet projects face a significant hurdle: launch capacity. SpaceX's Starlink already boasts a substantial fleet of nearly 7,000 operational satellites, providing widespread coverage. China's planned constellation, aiming for a similar scale, around 38,000 satellites, requires a far more significant launch capability. Crucially, this ambition clashes with China's current reliance on non-reusable rocket technology. SpaceX's mastery of reusable rockets dramatically reduces launch costs, a key factor in deploying such massive constellations. China's lagging reusable rocket technology poses a significant bottleneck. Reaching their intended scale by 2030 seems improbable. Meeting their stated targets for satellite launches will require a rapid increase in launch capacity, a challenge that could severely impact the timeline and ultimate success of their projects. Without substantial improvements in their reusable rocket technology and launch infrastructure, meeting the ambitious goals for these constellations appears extremely difficult. This bottleneck is a critical factor in determining China's ability to match Starlink's existing operational capacity and deploy its vast constellation. China's satellite internet projects are largely state-backed initiatives. Companies like China Satellite Networks Limited, Guowang, are completely state-owned, highlighting the significant government investment in the country's space program. Similar structures characterize the Qianfan and Honghu constellations, indicating a substantial commitment to establishing a strong presence in space. This reflects China's prioritization of space technology as a strategic asset. The substantial financial backing from the Chinese government, evident in 2023's over $14 billion investment in space, underscores the importance placed on these projects. The sheer scale and complexity of these ventures suggest a deliberate government policy of supporting these endeavors. This substantial financial commitment demonstrates the importance of space technology to China's national ambitions and underscores the strategic importance placed on these ventures. While detailed financing specifics may remain opaque, the state backing ensures significant resources are available to support the project's development. This heavily state-driven approach contrasts with the more mixed public-private partnerships often seen in other nations' space programs. Deploying large satellite constellations requires international licensing from the International Telecommunications Union (ITU). These licenses, however, come with strict launch deadlines. Guo Wang, for example, has secured necessary licenses but faces specific timelines for launching initial satellites and reaching a certain percentage of the total planned constellation by set dates. This creates a significant time constraint for China. The ITU's licensing process, while necessary, imposes a critical constraint on China's launch schedule and the timely deployment of its constellation. Meeting these requirements necessitates a rapid expansion of launch capacity and a streamlined deployment strategy. This time-sensitive aspect of licensing underscores the urgency and challenge facing these large-scale satellite internet projects. The need to launch the first satellites using specific frequencies by 2027 and deploy 10% of the total satellite count by September 2029 places a tremendous pressure on China to overcome significant logistical hurdles in a short time frame. Other companies like Eutelsat and Amazon also have similar projects. China's ambitious schedule highlights the significant effort and tight deadlines associated with these endeavors. China's drive to develop its own satellite internet constellation is significantly motivated by a desire to counter the perceived threat of uncensored internet access provided by Starlink. China's stringent censorship regime necessitates a competing alternative, particularly given Starlink's ability to circumvent these controls. This perceived threat to their control over information flow fuels China's determination to develop its own system. This is not simply about a commercial competitor. It's about maintaining control over the flow of information within China and potentially in other regions. China's approach aims to offer a censorship-friendly alternative to the potentially uncontrolled nature of Starlink. This strategic approach extends beyond providing internet access, aiming to use technological infrastructure to exert geopolitical influence and control in regions where the spread of uncensored information is deemed a threat to their interests. This strategy extends to both commercial and geopolitical objectives, positioning China to increase its influence through the provision of technology. China's efforts are not simply about offering a new internet service. They're deeply rooted in maintaining control over information and expanding their sphere of influence. China aims to extend its satellite internet service to regions currently underserved by Starlink, focusing on regions like China itself, Russia, parts of Africa, and the Middle East. Areas not currently covered by Starlink represent potential target markets. Huawei's existing infrastructure in Africa could provide inroads. This strategic deployment aims to expand China's influence and access to resources. China views technological infrastructure provision as a critical tool for bolstering its influence and establishing a foothold in potentially significant regions. Providing technological solutions to these areas strengthens China's ties and fosters reliance on Chinese technology. This strategy is more than just commercial. It's a means of securing political and economic influence by increasing dependence on Chinese goods and services. China's satellite internet aspirations are linked to a larger ambition to spread its influence and control over information flow. The provision of technological infrastructure is a crucial element in this broader strategy. U.S.-China space cooperation is constrained by the Wolf Amendment, which prohibits NASA from engaging bilaterally due to national security concerns. This limitation prevents China's participation in international space initiatives like the International Space Station. The strategic importance of satellite internet is further highlighted by its potential military applications, especially in the context of modern warfare. China's investment in satellite constellations is driven by national security considerations, recognizing the vital role of satellite technology in military conflicts, such as enabling drone warfare and sensor-based battlefield awareness. This underscores the growing importance of space technology in contemporary warfare and the potential for these capabilities to be leveraged for geopolitical advantage. China's ambitions are deeply rooted in ensuring its national security and military readiness in the face of potential conflict. Honoré concludes his warning by urging a proactive approach to assess the situation. He argues that if investigations corroborate significant connections between Musk and China and/or Russia, the U.S. government should consider revoking his security clearance. Furthermore, he advocates for exploring alternative launch service providers to lessen reliance on SpaceX, thereby minimizing the potential for national security vulnerabilities. The implications of inaction, as Honoré argues, are too significant to ignore. The U.S. government must address these concerns without delay, prioritizing national security over any